There is a truth older than kingdoms, older than power itself. People do not value what is always available. Pause. Let that sink in. The more something is seen, the less it is noticed. The more something is given, the less it is appreciated. Constant presence becomes invisible. In a world where everyone is constantly online, constantly responding, constantly present, the rarest resource isn't money or beauty or talent. It is absence. It is the courage to step back, to protect your time, to guard your energy, to choose who earns access to you. Machiavelli understood this. He warned rulers, familiarity breeds contempt. When people see you too much, they stop seeing your value. Look around your life. The friend who was always there, ignored until they stopped trying. The partner taken for granted until they walked away. The employee overlooked until they resigned. Only then did anyone notice. Absence wakes people up. It forces them to feel what they never thought they could lose. It changes the balance of power, and in those moments you realize something. You weren't invisible, you were taken for granted. When access to you is guaranteed, you become common, and nothing common is ever valued. Soft, cold music build. So how do you reclaim value? How do you shift perception? You become scarce. You stop replying instantly. You stop explaining yourself. You stop showing up out of habit. You stop giving energy to everyone, not to punish the world, but to protect yourself. Scarcity breeds desire. Silence creates mystery. Distance builds respect. This is not isolation. This is evolution. While others drown in noise, you rise in silence. Use absence like a weapon. Speak less so your words hit harder. Appear less so your presence feels powerful. Say no, more so your time becomes sacred. Step back so others must step forward to reach you. You don't to gain respect by chasing attention. You gain it by making your attention rare. The powerful don't rush. They don't beg. They don't announce. They withdraw, sharpen, return stronger. And that is the art of disappearing, not to hide, but to transform, not to be missed, but to be valued. When you pull back, the world leans in. When you become scarce, you become desired. When you step away, you become unforgettable. Remember, the weak cling, the powerful create distance. Disappear just enough so they feel your absence. Return only when your presence hits like a storm. And when they see you again, they won't see the same person they once overlooked. They'll see someone rare, someone valuable, someone impossible to ignore. Scarcity isn't losing value. Scarcity is revealing value. Long pause, then whisper tone. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to simply walk away. There is a kind of power that cannot be seen, only felt. A presence that becomes stronger the moment it is removed. When you withdraw, not from weakness, but from intention, something shifts in the world around you. People notice the silence, they feel the distance, they sense the sudden absence of your energy, and slowly they begin to realize what they once had access to. Withdrawal is not escape, it is elevation. It is choosing yourself over noise, excellence over exhaustion, clarity over chaos. Machiavelli understood this deeply. A leader too accessible becomes small. A person constantly available becomes ordinary. When anyone can reach you anytime, you hold no power. Your time belongs to the world, not to you. Consider this. The rarest rooms in life have limited entry. The most powerful individuals control access. They do not move like everyone else. They do not respond like everyone else. They do not entertain every call for attention. Why? Because access is influence, and influence is never given freely. When you withdraw, you are not removing yourself from others. You are removing others from you. Think of the pace of your life. The demands, the constant ping of messages, the endless requests, people expecting you to always be there, always respond, always support, always give. But every yes drains your value. Every instant reply erodes your authority. Every moment you sacrifice for convenience chips away at your strength. Power fades when it is spread too thin. Power grows when it is concentrated. So you step back, not dramatically, not with anger, not with loud declarations, quietly, calmly, with precision. You begin to protect your presence like it matters, because it does. And the world reacts, at first with confusion, then curiosity, and eventually respect. Suddenly your time feels heavier, your voice carries weight, your arrival means something. Withdrawal forces the world to recalibrate around you. This is where growth happens, not in constant motion, but in selective movement. Not by being everywhere, but by choosing where you belong. Withdrawal gives you space to evolve, to sharpen, to become dangerous in silence. While they talk, you build. While they rush, you plan. While they seek attention, you cultivate value. And when you return, you are not the same, you are upgraded. Isolation is not loneliness, it is refinement. A blacksmith withdraws metal from fire before striking it stronger. A warrior withdraws to train before returning to conquer. A king withdraws from the crowd to rule above it. Power is not found in endless visibility. It is forged in intentional absence. When you are everywhere, you become nowhere. When you are always seen, you stop being noticed. So you choose your circle, you choose your conversations, you choose what deserves your energy. You learn to step away from the unworthy, the draining, the repetitive, the small. You learn that not every argument needs your voice, not every invitation deserves your presence, not every attention request earns your reply. Because your life is not a public service, it is a kingdom, and not everyone is granted entry. Withdrawal makes people question themselves. Did I lose access? Did something change? Was I taking them for granted? That discomfort they feel is not cruelty. It is awareness. Awareness of your value. Awareness of your absence. Awareness that proximity to you was never guaranteed. The world remembers the sun most when it sets. Your withdrawal is the sunset. Your return is the sunrise. And between those two moments, the sky learns your worth. The weak withdraw to disappear. The powerful withdraw to prepare. Silence becomes your discipline. Solitude becomes your training ground. Distance becomes your armor. You are no longer reactive, you are strategic. You are no longer accessible, you are selective. You are no longer drained, you are charged. And when you re-enter the world, you carry authority without needing to ask for it. Some will resent your withdrawal, but that is only because they were benefiting from your exhaustion. Some will accuse you of changing, not realizing that change was always the point. Some will try to pull you back into the noise, but noise is where the ordinary live. You don't rise by staying in the crowd. You rise by stepping above it. Withdrawal is not the end of your presence. It is the beginning of your power. When you retreat with purpose, you advance in strength. When you reduce access, you raise value. When you pull away, you pull ahead. So step back, steady your mind, protect your peace, work in the shadows, sharpen quietly, build silently, withdraw like a king going to his war room, not to hide but to plan his next move, because when you return, you won't be the same person, and they will never treat you the same way again. There is a kind of strength that does not shout. It whispers, a form of power that does not demand. It commands, and very few people ever learn how to use it. It is the power of silence. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers, full of control, discipline, and restraint. While most people talk to prove themselves, the powerful stay silent to observe, understand, and calculate. Machiavelli knew this well. He wrote that men reveal themselves not by what they do openly, but by what slips from their tongue when they feel safe, when they talk too much. And most people, driven by ego and insecurity, talk endlessly. They explain, defend, justify, overshare, and expose themselves without even realizing it. Silence instead creates mystery. Silence builds intrigue. Silence forces others to wonder what you think, what you feel, what you plan, and what you know. And the moment people start wondering, you gain psychological advantage. Think about the strongest individuals you've seen. The real ones. They don't waste words. They don't react to every comment. They don't rush to prove themselves. Their silence intimidates more than arguments ever could. Why? Because silence means control. Control over emotion, control over ego, control over impulses. And most people have never mastered any of these. Silence is not weakness. It is discipline. It is the mark of someone who no longer feels compelled to explain themselves, of someone who understands that the one who speaks least often holds the greatest power. When you stop oversharing, people listen harder when you do speak. When you stop responding emotionally, people stop provoking you. When you refuse to defend yourself constantly, others are forced to judge you by your actions, not your explanations. Silence removes doubt. Silence removes emotional leverage. Silence removes the ability for others to manipulate you. When someone insults you and you respond with silence, they feel foolish. When someone questions you and you answer with calm stillness, they feel uncertain. When the world expects a reaction and you give none, you create dominance. Because silence shows confidence. It says, I do not need your approval. I do not fear your judgment. I am not moved by your noise. Those who talk constantly are like a book with every page open, predictable, readable, ordinary. Those who speak only when necessary become legends, hard to decode, impossible to ignore. Silence also gives you space to see people clearly. When you stop filling the air with your voice, you start hearing the truth in others, their insecurity, their motives, their weakness. People reveal more in their noise than you ever could in silence. You learn who respects you. You learn who fears losing access to you. You learn who attempts to fill your silence with their own nervous chatter. And you learn who grows quiet with you, who understands the language of strength. Not everyone can sit in quiet. Most people drown in their own thoughts, so they talk to escape themselves. They talk not because they have something meaningful to say, but because silence exposes who they really are. But not you. You are not afraid of silence. You command it. You use it like a blade. Precise, controlled, intentional. You do not waste breath on the unworthy. You do not hand your emotions to the world. You let your presence speak louder than your voice ever could. And over time, something remarkable happens. The world leans in to hear you. They listen when you speak because you do not speak often. Your words become weighty, valuable, rare, like gold in a world drowning in noise. Do not rush to respond. Do not battle every disrespect. Do not explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Do not speak simply to fill silence. Let silence do the work for you. A king does not argue. A leader does not beg to be understood. A powerful mind does not waste energy convincing the crowd. They sit in silence and let the world adjust around them. So embrace the stillness. Embrace the quiet. Embrace the strength that comes not from being heard, but from being unmoved. And when you finally choose to speak, your voice will carry more power than 1,000 voices shouting at once. Because in a world addicted to noise, silence is the ultimate authority. There comes a moment in every powerful person's life when they realize something essential. You cannot become who you are meant to be while staying where you are, surrounded by who you've always known. Growth is not comfortable. Transformation is not gentle. Evolution does not happen in crowds. It happens in isolation. The world praises connection, noise, constant stimulation, but real change happens in quiet places, in rooms where no one claps, In hours when nobody texts, in moments where you face yourself and no one is watching. That silence, that solitude, that space away from the world, that is where strength is forged. Everyone wants the results. Very few are willing to endure the process, because the process requires you to disappear. Not socially, spiritually. You must leave behind comfort, distraction, approval, validation, and the safety of being who you used to be. You must let the world move without you for a while, so that one day you can return and move the world. Isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. Think about the greatest transformations in history. Warriors trained alone before battle. Kings spent seasons in seclusion before leading nations. Creatives disappeared to craft masterpieces. Legends vanished from the public eye before they became icons. There is a sacred period where you must break away from everything familiar, not because it is bad, but because it limits who you are becoming. Transformation demands you walk alone. You will lose people, not because they failed you, but because your growth scares them. When you rise, you reveal their stagnation. When you discipline yourself, you expose their comfort. When you change, you break the agreement they had with your old identity. Not everyone can meet the new you. Not everyone should. Solitude forces you to meet yourself. It strips away noise, ego, distraction. It reveals your weaknesses and gives you space to crush them. It exposes your fears and gives you strength to tame them. It demands honesty, the kind you cannot hide from when no one is there to distract you from your truth. Most people avoid isolation because they fear silence. They cannot sit with their thoughts. They cannot stand the reality of who they are without applause, attention, or illusion. So they fill every minute with noise, not to live, but to avoid living with themselves. But you are different. You choose isolation. You step into the quiet willingly. You enter the cave not to disappear forever, but to return as someone else. In solitude, you build rituals, discipline, mental strength, physical resilience, skills that separate you from the world you left behind. You study, you train, you observe. You break the version of yourself that was tolerated and forge a version that will be respected. Isolation is uncomfortable. It is meant to be. Pressure forms diamonds, heat tempers steel, silence builds empires. You do not stay in the cocoon because you are weak. You stay there because wings take time. Let others fear being alone. You embrace it. Let them cling to company. You build character. Let them drown in noise. You master your mind. And when the time is right, when you have sharpened your mind, strengthened your body, leveled your spirit, you re-enter the world quietly, calmly, undeniably changed. And the people who once overlooked you will not recognize what stands before them. Some will envy it, some will fear it, some will pretend they always believed in it, but none will forget it. Because transformation is not loud, it is felt. And the version of you that steps out of isolation will not ask for respect. It will command it. So disappear when needed. Separate to elevate. Walk alone so one day you can walk above. Isolation is not loneliness. It is the birthplace of greatness. There comes a moment after the silence, after the discipline, after the isolation, when you must return. Not quietly hiding in the background, not slipping back unnoticed, but stepping forward as someone they can no longer ignore. Disappearance means nothing without transformation. Silence means nothing without strength behind it. Distance means nothing unless you return as someone greater than the person who walked away. This is where most people fail. They disappear to escape, not to evolve. They retreat to avoid discomfort, not to conquer it. But you disappeared to transform. Your silence was strategic. Your isolation was sacred. Your absence was the womb of a greater version of yourself. Now comes the moment of return, not with noise, not with announcements, not with desperate validation seeking, but with results. Results speak a language louder than ego ever could. Success makes more noise than talking ever will. When you come back stronger, sharper, calmer, more capable, the world feels it before you say a word. Let them notice the changes themselves. The discipline in your posture, the certainty in your eyes, the confidence in your silence, the power in your restraint, the upgrades in your lifestyle, skills, presence, and energy. You do not need to prove yourself. You arrive differently, and that proves everything. You don't tell people what you did. You let the evidence speak. You let the improvement speak. You let your new life, your new power, become your explanation. Those who doubted you will fall silent. Those who overlooked you will stare in confusion. Those who took you for granted will remember your absence and question their own assumptions. You owe no one a warning. You owe no one an announcement. You owe no one a justification. You simply show up, transformed. And here is the secret. True power does not scream. True power arrives. When you reappear, do it with calm presence, not arrogance. With quiet confidence, not ego. With steady energy, not desperation. People will feel it. They will adjust themselves around you. They will choose their words more carefully. They will show a level of respect that they once withheld, because you are no longer the version of you they thought they knew. Never return the same. Never come back empty. Never re-enter the world carrying the identity you left behind. Disappear to sharpen. Return to dominate. Let your success be your voice. Let your evolution be your answer. Let your presence be your proof. You walked away as one person, you returned as another. And now, you don't demand respect. You command it. Because the world values those who transform, not those who stay the same. So vanish to level up. Rise in silence. Return like a storm. Not to show them who you are, but to remind them who they never saw coming.